Welcome back, you guys. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV, and welcome to another news daily video. Now for today's video, there's three main stories to talk about. Of course, the latest on Jadon Sancho and a potential move to us in the summer, and I'll be speaking about a signing that we've already made for the window. He's a 16-year-old that we have signed from Norway, and to end things, I'm going to be discussing the potential next destination for Marc Guéhi, as clubs from the Premier League and the Championship are after the player. Before I get into anything though, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. You guys, it's the best time to download the app today because today it's a game. We're playing against Tottenham. Today is the perfect time to test out the OneFootball app if you haven't given it a go. There's going to be so much interactive content to come out from the game later today. If you guys want to get the stats, the reports, if you want to vote for your man of the match, etc, etc, the OneFootball app is the perfect app to get. You'll find links below in the description. And if you do like today's video, help me get over 1,500 likes. Now we start with the first big story today. And of course, we need to talk about the latest surrounding Jadon Sancho. Now this story has been brought to you guys by The Sun, by the reporter Duncan Wright. I gotta be honest, I read the article, there wasn't too much new information. There were some very interesting bits though, and of course, I am gonna focus on those bits, and let me just get straight into it, you guys. They were the fact that we could be completing the Sancho deal in very similar circumstances to the deal in which we signed Pulisic last window. That's great news to hear, and there's so many benefits from this, which I'm gonna get into, so you guys bear with me. And the other bits of information was that Lampard persuaded the club to get behind him and back him when it comes to signing the player, because Lampard feels like he would be the Eden Hazard style player that this team is currently missing out on. And of course, the final thing is the club are happy and willing to spend over 100 million to sign the player and bring him to Stamford Bridge, and that's great to hear. As fans, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear our club being confident and aggressive. We want to be linked with the best players because we want this club to become even better. We want to go for even higher heights, and to get to that level, well, sometimes you need to spend the money when you need to. The report does end by stating that we do have competition from Liverpool and Man United, and I think this is the perfect place to start off with to give my thoughts and opinions. Now I'm going to break down Liverpool and Man United, starting with Man United, and I think the most obvious thing is there's a very strong possibility that they aren't going to get Champions League football for next season. If you're a player like Sancho in such high demands, is that going to be as tantalizing, having to waste a year effectively in hopes of securing football for the following season? And with Man United in their recent history, it doesn't really give you too much confidence. I think there's one thing that we cannot underestimate when it comes to Man United though, and that's the fact that they have the money to blow. Man United have irresponsible money. They can buy players for irresponsible fees. They can give players irresponsible wages. They can give agents irresponsible fees. We've seen what they can do. Money does speak at the end of the day. If you're Man United, you know that you're signing for a club with history, that's prestigious, and most importantly has a lot of money to offer you. Now we move on to Liverpool, and I have to say that we should be a bit humble when it comes to Liverpool's interests. And I say this because we've seen under Klopp that he is willing to use a 4-2-3-1, and maybe that's the next evolution tactically that Klopp wants to make. I can imagine Sancho then maybe being a bit more interested in signing for Liverpool, knowing that there is going to be guaranteed first team football. You're playing up front alongside Salah, Mane, Firmino, and of course behind you is TAA, one of the best young right backs in world football, and you're signing for a manager that's proven time and time again that he knows how to take players to another level, playing this type of fast, exciting football as well, and they have money. Liverpool have proven that they only spend money on the actual players they need. It doesn't matter how much they cost. If Liverpool feel that this one player is going to help improve the team exponentially, they have the funds for that. And if they feel that Sancho is that player, well, I feel like, of course, we'd have to take them seriously. Now, I'm not going to delve too much into what we can offer the player because we already know that. We know that Sancho has nearly all his friends at this club. We know that he wants to come back to London. We know that he is a London boy too. He gets to come back home, see his guys, see his family. Especially signing for a club where you have guaranteed first team football, where you've told everyone that you're a fan of the club as well. I could go on, and it feels like we control our destiny when it comes to this. If we can get Champions League football for next season, if we go on the right path towards the end of the season as well. To end my thoughts on Sancho, I want to focus on the start of the article. Now, the article stated that we could potentially sign Sancho in very similar circumstances in which we signed Pulisic. And this is very interesting because this implies that the club are looking to be quick and aggressive. If you're being quick and aggressive, it means that you want to beat the competition very quickly. That element of surprise is the best approach to sign a player like Sancho. When you know that he's in such high demand, beating all that hassle of having a transfer battle between all these other rival teams, this could be the very best approach because remember, it is going to be the Euros next year, and we know that traditionally with the Euros, it's a tournament which really heights the prices of players up even more. It's a guarantee that Sancho is going to be one of the key players that everyone will be looking at in the next tournament. To complete a deal for the player right now could potentially be a masterstroke, and most importantly, it's a statement. If the first player that you're announcing at the start of a summer window is Jadon Sancho, well, it's going to make it easier for you to sign the other targets you want. Because now that fantasy that you've been selling them is now a real tangible thing. And that makes it easier for the club to sell the brand and the image to players we want. And I think the most important thing too is that this could benefit Sancho as well. With Sancho and the focus on the Euros for next summer, it's obvious that if he could get all this transfer news out the way, he can focus solely on his football, knowing confidently that he's got his future secured. This could be a great thing for the player, because there is going to be a lot of media attention on him. Of course though, we can't only see things through rose-tinted glasses. There could be another reality. And that reality could be that if we did announce the signing of the player very early, could that affect his form for the second part of the season? That when clubs announce the signing of players very early, that can have a negative impact on the player and their performances as the season goes on for their club. That makes sense, If you know that your future is elsewhere, the last thing that you want to do is be in a situation where you have injuries or you can't play. And on top of that, it seems to have like a human reaction. Managers don't tend to favour players that have blatantly told them that, their future secured elsewhere. They aren't going to be working under them anymore. And they tend to focus on players that are actually committed to playing for the club. I know this is all speculation. I'm not saying these are the strongest points, but I'm trying to see things from both sides of the coin. Regardless though, Sancho is the player that we need to sign. It makes too much sense. It's about time that we start signing players that make a lot of sense. If we don't sign Sancho, this would be a massive L for the boards. I 100% believe that, because I feel like with all the elements we have, with the entire package we can provide for the player, I can't see how we couldn't complete the signing for him. But anyway, you guys, that's my thoughts and opinions on the first story. Leave your thoughts below in the comment section. Is Sancho the player that you most definitely want to see for next season? Is he worth the hype? Do you think he's going to add something big to the team? Make sure you guys let me know below. Now we move on to another Sun report, and this time it's in regards to Marc Guéhi. Now, it looks like Marc is in very high demands this Christmas. He's on a lot of clubs' wish lists. It seems like clubs from both the Championship and the Premier League are after the player. Now, those Premier League clubs are Southampton and Norwich, and in the Championship he has a host of clubs from Bristol City to Swansea to Nottingham Forest. And these clubs feel like Marc could be a valuable asset to helping them reach a playoff place so they can potentially get promoted to the Premier League. So this is great to hear. And I feel for Marc, it's about time for him to really go on and get consistent game time. Now, the reason why I was very disappointed by our early Carabao Cup exit was the fact that it meant that young players like him and your Andrians wouldn't get that game time. It makes a lot of sense, you guys. As the season approaches its end, the pressures get even more intense because, it comes down to the final games. Those final important games to secure your season objectives. And when the pressure is so high, well, it's understandable that the manager isn't going to find too much time to give game time to academy players. And looking at how Marc plays, his confidence on the ball, the way he has so much composure, how clean and classy he looks, his left foot, how he plays his balls first time as well, how he plays with his head up constantly. There's definitely a talented player here. When I see him play, he can most definitely play in the top flights of European football easily. But I'm just thinking, does it make sense to sign for a Premier League team or go to the Championship? Because remember, it's only going to be a 6-month loan. Now, the reason why I have doubts for him signing for a Premier League team is that it feels like their interest is purely for the fact that they need backup options in the team. Both those clubs have injuries in defence and, they need some reinforcement. Traditionally, with clubs that are, fighting relegation, as the season goes on, they tend to become more insular. Managers tend to favour the same first team lineup every single game because you don't want to jinx anything. And in an environment like that, they don't feel confident to use young players who are on loan. Not even owned by the club, but a young kid on loan. So I feel that this could be a similar situation for Marc because, pressures at the top at this level of football, they can be too high. And maybe moving to the Championship could be the best thing he needs. Because remember, it's only a 6-month loan. If he makes a great impression short term, if he's lucky, unfortunate enough to even play in the playoff positions as well, and even getting promoted, well, that's only going to boost his CV. And that's going to put him out there. Every club's going to see him, and that's going to put Marc in a very favourable position in the summer. Personally, I think the Championship would be the best clubs to sign for because, of course, you are guaranteed more game time than playing in the Premier League. And when it comes to someone like Marc, it's only a matter of time before he's playing in the Premier League anyway. And to end with things, we have officially signed our first player for this January window. He is a young 16-year-old forward from Norway. He comes from 2nd Division Norwegian club Tromsø, and his name is Bryan Fiabema. Now, when it came to doing research on the player, I couldn't find too much from him. The only thing that I've heard is that maybe he's in the same ilk and vein of a Tammy Abraham, and it was quite hard to find many clips of him or even articles or reports or even fan blogs for etc. So you guys, I tried to do my best, but at this point in time, I feel like all of us fans should feel extremely confident whenever our club secures any young player. With this club and our academy, we really are seen as one of the very best in the world. So it's an honour for a lot of young kids to have the opportunity to come and play for this club. And it's a great position to be in. It means that we always have a massive opportunity to sign the very best young players in Europe. We have that reputation. Families feel safe with us knowing that their kid has a massive chance of having a great career afterwards, even if he doesn't play for the club. And on top of that, the money you earn as well. It's no surprise that we decided to sign him. Now, it seems that the player did have a trial at the start of this month. It was successful, and we made this move permanent. He will cost us about 600k, and he signs in January, so good luck to the player. It'll be good to see him play some youth games for the second part of the season. And I like what this signing signifies, because it tells us that Lampard wants there to be continuity. He sees himself being here long term, and he looks at players that could potentially fill a role in the team in the future, and that's great to see, you guys. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys later with a match review and a live stream.